Alrighty, I know I'm gonna start just a little bit early on in terms of the timer, but it is 1 o'clock on the books here. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another wonderful show coming your guys' way today here on a Thursday. Really appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. Um, yeah. Happy Thursday. How are we all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Sounds like the shutdown is over and everything is back to business as normal. Um, let's just double check and make sure all this other stuff is working real quick. Let me make sure everything else is good to go. Certain things I was trying to add today that aren't working, but that's okay. Other than that, how are we all doing today? Welcome in, welcome in. We're multicasting to all your favorite streaming platforms. The only thing that we don't have right now is Instagram and TikTok right now, but those will potentially be in the foreseeable future. I don't think we're on Facebook right now either, so that's also in the foreseeable future as well. But welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we get into the rest of the show today, if you guys wouldn't mind joining me in a prayer real quick, we'll get this thing underway, shall we? In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, I want to thank you for each and every single day that you give us. I want to thank you for allowing coming together in the Congress to end a pretty weird shutdown, in my personal opinion, but that's politics for you, I guess. I'd like to ask that you bless and guide each and every single one of us that are walking on this earth today, and I'd like to pray especially for a certain politician that ended up in the hospital earlier today. I'd like to ask that you bless and guide each and every single one of us as we go throughout the rest of today and as we go into the weekend. Bless and guide our thoughts and interactions with not only our inner circle, but with every single person that we meet outside of that inner circle. Continue to bless and guide each and every single one of us as we pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. And Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Alrighty, and before we get into any of the rest of this stuff, as I kind of was telling you guys a little bit earlier, I'm going to be doing a little bit of research over the weekend to try to see what other areas people listen to podcasts from, so I can try to not just have it on Spotify, but also have it on like any place that you guys listen to podcasts from. So we'll try to work on that over the weekend and try to get all the recent episodes up, as well as the next ones that are coming up. But if you aren't on Rumble, if you're on Twitch, if you're on Kick, if you're on X, if you're on YouTube, head on over to Rumble, because Rumble is basically going to be the main place that I'm going to be kind of like looking at stuff, because I also use their studio as well. So head on over to Rumble, follow me there. It's the same thing as all the other platforms, just Little Luke Boyd Show. If you head on over to Rumble, you can also download the Rumble app on your phone, your tablet, your just any smart devices that you have. There is that. And I really appreciate every single one of you guys that are watching right now. If you like what I'm doing and like the content that I'm giving you guys, give a like up from whatever platform that you're on, and head on down, hit that follow button so that you don't miss a second of the show. And without further ado, let me just get into some of the games from last night. Today we're going to kind of play a little bit of Luke was right, Luke was wrong. as we kind of get into some of the big details coming out of last night. I know there was not a lot of. There were still a bunch of basketball games from last night, but there was not a lot of stuff coming out of the NFL and whatnot. So here's one of the games where I was wrong. I was wrong in terms of the fact that I did not expect the Hornets to beat the Bucks. Um, as we kind of look from my prediction from yesterday, I kind of predicted the Milwaukee Bucks to beat the Hornets, and I think during the show yesterday, I said that I was gonna have, or that I thought that it was gonna be hard for the Hornets to find a way to win. But without Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Bucks, it turns out that was a key factor in this game as the Hornets hosted the Bucks last night and ended up winning pretty. I'm not gonna say pretty soundly. It was only 11-point differential, but even still, 11 points is um, a key margin of error in terms of taking a win. So if you kind of take a look here, or as we kind of take a look into some of the stat lines from last night, you got your top scorer from the Milwaukee Bucks being Ryan Rollins, who ended the night after 32 minutes to play with 25 points, 5 boards, 6 assists. That's the turnover column, 1 steal, and was 10 of 15 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, and 1 of 2 from the charity stripe. So a solid outing from Ryan Rollins. And then also Miles Turner, who after 29 minutes of play ended the night with 21 points. He had 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 7 of 14 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3-point land, and 4 of 5 from the charity stripe. So a big night for Miles Turner as well, even though the Bucks ended up falling short. And then a couple of key contributors coming off the bench ended up being Bobby Portis and Pete Nance. So Bobby Portis, after 23 minutes of play, ended the night with 14 points, 8 boards, 1 assist, no steals or blocks, but 7 of 12 from the field. So solid outing from him. Yeah, it was kind of a big night from him. And then Pete Nance ended the night with 10 points, 1 board, and nothing from the rest of the stat line, but still contributed 4 or 5 from the field and 2 of 3 from 3-point land. So a big night as well from him. Let me just kind of head back into that real quick. But yeah, was not enough, and kind of I guess a key factor as well was the fact that only 2 out of the 5 starters ended up in double figures. Whereas if we take a look at the Hornets and their top scorers here, you got Miles Bridges, who after 33 minutes of play last night ended with 20 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, 7 of 19 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3, and 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. So another solid night from Miles Bridges as he led the way and helped the Hornets end up taking the win at home. You also got Ryan Kalkbrenner, who after 27 minutes of play ended the night with 17 points, 9 boards, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 8 of 8 from the field, and 1 of 1 from the charity stripe. So 100% from the field. So that was a huge boost for the Hornets. And then Colin Sexton and Con Canopal both ended up with 16 points. Colin Sexton, after 32 minutes of play, also had 5 boards, 8 assists, 2 steals. Went 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 5 of 6 from the charity stripe. So huge night from him as well. And then let's see. Big score coming off the bench ended up being Trey Mann, who after 25 minutes of play ended the night with 13 points, 1 board, 3 assists, 1 block, 5 of 10, from the field, and 3 of 7 from behind the arc, So big night from the Hornets as they ended up notching up the win. Only 2 points separated both teams going into the second half. Looks like, I believe that's 52 to 50. 52 to 50 was the point separation in the second half between the Bucks and the Hornets. That's 111 to 100 is the final score in Charlotte. As the Bucks fall to 7-5 and the Hornets move out to 4-7. So big boost of energy coming out of the Charlotte Hornets as they've had a rough stretch in the early going, but found a way to notch a win at home against the Bucks. So yeah, I was kind of proved me wrong last night in terms of how well they were going to play. So kudos to them. We'll go into a little bit of where I was kind of right last night in terms of how well the Pistons were going to play. Ended up getting the win, notching up an 11-point win against the Chicago Bulls as they hosted the Bulls in Detroit, in the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Key contributors for the Bulls as they fell a little bit short last night. You got Matas Buzeles, who ended the night after 34 minutes of play with 21 points, 14 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 7 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 5 of 5 from the charity stripe. So a double-double night from Buzeles as they ended up falling short of a victory on the road. But still a huge night from him as he knotted up a double-double. You also got Kevin Huerter, who ended the night with, after 27 minutes of play with 20 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 10 of 17 from the field, and nothing from the three-point range or from the free throw line. But even still, 20 points is 20 points, so big night from him. Almost across the board, actually. The only thing that was missing was a block, but even still big night from him. Did Detroit have, like, is that the City Connects? It's gotta be the City Connects. But anyhow, and then you got, let's see, another top scorer from the starting crew ended up being Isaac Okoro, who after 32 minutes of play ended the night with 15 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 3 blocks, 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 2 from behind the arc, and 3 of 4 for the charity stripe. So big contributions from Okoro, and a big point getter coming off the bench. Go figure. We've been talking about this guy from the Bulls a lot. Has been Ayo Dosunmu. I think that's how you say his last name. I could be completely wrong, but he ended the night after 22 minutes of play with 12 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So big night coming off the bench for Dosunmu. And it looks like their star, Josh Giddey, did not play with a sprained right ankle, unfortunately. So, that could have been a main contribution as to why the Bulls ended up falling short by 11 points last night. But that kind of remains to be seen. Even though the Detroit Pistons didn't have Cade Cunningham last night, you got some key contributors. Paul Reed ended up with a double-double. Let's get into the rest of his stat line. That after 31 minutes of play into the night with 28 points, 13 boards, 6 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, 11 of 13 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, and 4 of 4 for the charity stripe. So big night from Paul Reed. Again, he notched up the double-double. Let's see. Also, big point getter from the Pistons ended up being Duncan Robinson, who after 28 minutes of play had 23 points, 2 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 8 of 13 from the field, 7 of 10 from 3. So a lot of threes being taken, and of course he was more accurate from 3 than inside the arc, apparently, because my goodness, could he not have anything fall from inside the arc? That was a little... That's a little odd from him, but, I mean, typical big guys would usually be, well, is he a big guy? Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Anyhow, moving on to another key contributor from last night for the Detroit Pistons that they notched up the win was Donis Jenkins. who after 40 minutes of play ended the night with also a double-double, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 12 assists, 2 steals, 9 of 19 from the field, and 0 of 2 from behind the arc, so not really much from anywhere else, but still found a way to get a double-double, and Pistons ended up notching the win at home, so huge night from almost everybody, and it looks like almost all the starters ended up in double figures as well. Both Ronald Holland II and Javonte Green were just one shot shy of getting double figures, but a key contributor coming off the bench ended up being Caris LeVert for the Chicago Bulls, who after 22 minutes of play ended up with 17 points, 1 board, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 8 of 11 from the field, 0 of 1 from behind the arc, and 1 of 2 from the free throw line. So big night from LeVert coming off the bench. As the final score in Detroit, in the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, ends up being 124 to 113 the final. Detroit moves up to 10-2 as their rocket hot start season continues, and the Bulls end up having a rough patch after starting out the season. I believe at one point they were 5-1, but they've just had a rough stretch these past few games in terms of trying to notch up wins as they fall to 6-5, coming into the later stages of this week's games and heading into this weekend. I want to say tomorrow. I could be wrong, but I think there's potential for tomorrow to be. There's NBA group play tomorrow. Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Where I was also wrong, I thought that the New York Knicks, with the starting lineup that they had and pretty decently healthy, that Jalen Brunson and the crew would be able to find a way to beat an Orlando Magic team that hasn't really been, how do I say this? I guess flashy, if you will. There's just been like a big, I guess there's kind of been like a big key difference into when the Magic have been playing well and the Magic haven't been playing well. And last night the Magic were rolling, because they end up notching out I believe that's a 17-point game over a Knicks team that coming into this game was 7-3 and was playing pretty well and beating teams that they needed to beat, in my personal opinion, but some reason was not on the same page. Jalen Brunson still showed up as usual, and Karl Anthony Towns ended up with a double-double. We'll get into both their stat lines here in a minute, but almost every single player for the Orlando Magic in double figures. Your top scorer from last night from the Magic ended up being Franz Wagner, who after 37 minutes of play ended the night with 28 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 10 to 22 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, and 6 of 8 from the charity stripe. So big night from Franz Wagner. And also Desmond Bain, who after 34 minutes of play had 22 points, 6 boards, 8 assists, nothing for the defensive stat line, but 7 of 15 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, and 5 of 5 from the charity stripe. So big night from him as well, as he knotted up 22 points. May not have been as accurate, but still found a way to score from where he needed to score from. So yeah, like I said, he contributed in ways that he needed to contribute, and then a top scorer coming off the bench for the Magic ended up being probably a guy I haven't really been talking a ton about this season. I mean, not that I haven't really been talking much about the Orlando Magic in general, just because they've been kind of sporadic here and there. But top scorer coming off the bench for the Magic ended up being Anthony Black, who after 23 minutes of play ended the night with 17 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 7 of 11 from the field, and 3 of 5 from behind the arc. So, um, big night from Black coming off the bench. Um, as they ended up finding a way to notch a victory in in Madison Square Garden, which is unusual, especially since the the Knicks had won 7 straight at home before this game. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop! We are gonna turn that off for just 1 second. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My phone randomly goes off like that, apparently. I don't know if it's scam callers or what, but anyhow. Getting back into this, we got our top scorers coming from the Knicks that ended up falling short last night. You got Jalen Brunson, who ended the night after. Um, what the heck? Anyhow, Jalen Brunson. Getting back into this game, Jalen Brunson, after 37 minutes of play, had 31 points, 3 boards, 6 assists, no steals or blocks, but 10 of 23 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, and 10 of 13 from behind or 1 of 4 from behind the arc, 10 of 13 from the charity stripe. So a big night from Jalen Brunson as he knotted up 31 points. Also a key contributor from last night to try to keep this game a little bit closer than what I think was probably a less um, exciting game for the Knicks right now. Was Karl Anthony Towns, who knotted up a double-double after 35 minutes of play, had 15 points, 12 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 6 of 15 from the field, 1 of 4 from behind the arc, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So a big night from Cat as he knotted up the double-double. And man, even though Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns showed up, the rest of the lineup did not entirely look like they showed up as much as the starting lineup, though, because my goodness, your usual suspects in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns were, you know, having themselves a night, but Yabusele didn't show up a lot last night. Mitchell Robinson only ended up with 2 points. Mikal Bridges only ended up with 6, and I mean, the rest of the stat line kind of just shows you that, there just was not enough of a contribution from the key guys from last night to not only keep this close, but notch a win at home in Madison Square Garden. So, not your usual show from the big stars coming out of the Knicks for sure. But your top scorer coming off the bench from the Knicks ended up being Landry Shamet, who after 27 minutes of play had 11 points, 3 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal. 4 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from behind the arc, and 2 of 3 from the charity stripe. So still a solid outing from Shamet, but ultimately fell short. 124-107, the final score in Madison Square Garden, as the Knicks end up falling to 7-4, and the Magic end up moving up to 6-6. As once again they kind of proved me wrong in how well they were going to play last night. But getting into another game where I was correct ended up being the kind of a couple of teams that I haven't really. I don't think I've really covered too much in the early going, mainly because the Pelicans are still without Zion Williamson, which I kind of feel bad for Williamson just because of the fact that he's just been riddled with injuries ever since his career started in the NBA, and just has never really found the right spark in terms of, I guess, keeping himself healthy and keeping him in the in the fray in terms of making what am I trying to get at with this? He just hasn't found a way to stay healthy and being able to like stay with his team, if that makes sense, in terms of like making sure that not only is he on the floor um, playing for the Pelicans, but also like continuing to stay healthy throughout the season. Um, just has been completely inconsistent in my opinion. But as the Trailblazer, but all that aside, the Trailblazers ended up notching up a win in New Orleans. Key contributors from last night for the Blazers ended up being Denny Avdija in terms of a. Ooh, actually, you know what? I take that back. Top scorer from the Blazers ended up being Shaden Sharp, who after 30 minutes of play ended up with 35 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 13 of 18 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, and 7 of 7 from the charity stripe. So a big night from Shaden Sharp as he ended up being the top point getter for the Trailblazers. You also got Denny Avdija, who after 35 minutes of play ended the night with 32 points, 1 board, 2 assists, 1 steal, 12 of 18 from the field, 4 of 8 from behind the arc, and 4 of 5 from the charity stripe. So another key contribution from Avdija as well. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Avdija just because of his contributions and the way that he contributes in different ways for the Blazers. I mean, even though they've kind of been a little bit inconsistent to start the season, I think with this win, I think this might be a little bit of a boost that they need, especially since you got contributors from a bunch of different, um, I guess, from not just Avdija, from a bunch of other guys to kind of show up and show out. Another guy that ended up contributing very well that also knotted up a double double ended up being Drew Holiday, who after 37 minutes of play ended the night with 17 points, 4 rebounds, 12 assists, 3 turnovers. That's not really what we want to talk about, but anyhow, 6 of 12 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So big night from Drew Holiday as he ended up notching up a double double. Donovan Clingham was 1 point short of a double double. He ended the night after 27 minutes of play with 9 points, 10 boards, 3 blocks, 4 of 9 from the field. Nothing really from behind the arc, excuse me, and then 1 of 1 from the charity stripe. So again, almost all starters for the Trailblazers in double figures. Yeah. Kind of a big night across the board from inside the NBA is so funny. But yeah, kind of a big night from the starters for the Blazers as they end up notching up the win by 8 points. I think my math is correct there. I'm just trying to do some quick math. Says and kind of move along here. But moving into some key contributors for the Pelicans, you end up having a top scorer coming off the bench for the Pelicans, and the top scorer for the Pelicans ended up being Derek Queen, who after 38 minutes of play ended the night with 26 points, 7 boards, 4 assists. Nothing from the defensive stat line, but ended up going 12 of 18 from the field and 2 of 3 from the charity stripe. So big night from Derek Queen. You also got Sadiq Bey, who after 35 minutes of play ended the night with 25 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, no steals or blocks, but 8 of 16 from the field, 3 of 8 from behind the arc, and 6 of 7 from the charity stripe. So interesting night from Sadiq Bey, but ultimately it's the Blazers that end up taking the win on the road in the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. 125 to 117 the final. The Pelicans are still falling short. They end up falling down to 2-9, and the Blazers move up to 6-5. As I believe, if I take a look at the right information here so I can give you guys the right information. Um, Blazers are moving up in the pack, and right now, if the season were to end today, I know it's still a little bit early, but the Blazers would be in the play-in, probably playing against the Golden State Warriors. Um, but outside of that, um, it's just been kind of, you know, a little bit interesting in the early going, and kind of been playing a little bit better without Damian Lillard than I kind of expected. Um, I was not having a ton of high hopes, I guess, if you will, for the Blazers with all the injuries that they've had and stuff like that. So, even though I did predict them to win last night, it was kind of one of those. For me, it was kind of because of Zion Williamson not being on the Pelicans as to why I think the Blazers were going to find a way to win, especially since some of the stars for the Blazers have been kind of showing up without, their key guys not being in, um, Damian Lillard included. But yeah, whole bunch of different fun stuff where I ended up being wrong, a little bit, but I ended up being right. Um, because I don't know if you guys ended up watching my show a little bit yesterday, but I went in the preview that we kind of discussed in terms of the Golden State Warriors and the Spurs here. I I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, and please do, because if I remember correctly, I said the only way that the Spurs were going to lose this game was that Stephen Curry was going to have a historic night last night, and boy, did he have one. Because apparently, from information that I've been kind of digging in through last night, apparently he's one 40-point game away from tying Michael Jordan's 44 40-point games. And right now, Stephen Curry just knotted up his 43rd 40-point game. Um, as we kind of look into the rest of his stat line last night, did not have a very accurate night from behind the arc, but even still found different ways to score points. After 34 minutes of play, had 46 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 13 of 25 from the field, and 5 of 16 from behind the arc, and 15 of 16 from the charity stripe. So 15 out of his 46 points ended up being just by shooting free throws. So, I mean, it's still a huge night for him, obviously, because, scoring 46 and almost scoring 50 points is just, it's amazing to continue to see what Stephen Curry can do on a nightly basis. I mean, yes, he wasn't entirely accurate from three, but my goodness, was he able to find ways to, score at different clips, you know what I mean? Like, my goodness, I mean, Draymond Green ended up fouling out of the game. Charles Barkley probably had a little bit of fun with Draymond last night in terms of the whole triple single thing that he kind of, you know, kind of rolls around with for Draymond. But anyhow, other key contributors from the Warriors from last night as they notched up the win. And why I say I was kind of wrong, excuse me, before I get into any more of the stat line, why I say I was wrong was because I predicted the Spurs to win. And I figured that Wembanyama and the crew from the Spurs were going to be able to be too much for the Warriors, because, I mean, they ended up playing the Thunder the night before, and just nothing was clicking for the Warriors last night against the Thunder. And maybe it's just because the Thunder are just playing absolutely lights out from basically the jump in terms of the starting from since like the start of the season. And I mean, outside of that one game that the Thunder have lost, like they just been running lights out on teams that they've been playing against. And we'll talk a little bit more about their stat line against the Lakers from last night. But my goodness, Anyhow, other key contributors from last night from the Warriors as they ended up notching up the win. Jimmy Butler, the third, after 34 minutes of play, ended the night with 28.6 boards, 8 assists, 3 steals, 7 of 12 from the field, 5 of. And then also Moses Moody had himself a little bit of a night, almost had a 20 piece. Um, but after 26 minutes of play, had 19 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, and was 6 of 13 for the field, 5 of 10 from behind the arc, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So, big night from Moody as well. Kind of taking a look into the key contributors from the Spurs. All of the starters ended up in double figures, but Victor Wembanyama, man, I mean, he and Stephon Castle both ended up with triple doubles last night. But if we look at Victor Wembanyama's stat line, after 36 minutes of play, into the night with 31 points, 15 boards, 10 assists, 1 block. We're going to kind of skip over the turnover stat because I don't really think a lot of people look into the turnovers that much. But anyhow, you got he ended up going 11 of 22 from the field, 3 of 7 from behind the arc, and 6 of 6 from the charity stripe. So Wemby having himself a night still, but was not enough to stop the historic night from Steph Curry. My goodness. And then also Stephon Castle, as we get into his stat line, also knotted up a triple-double as well. After 31 minutes of play, had 23 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, and nothing for the defensive stat line, but was 9 of 16 from the field, 5 of 7 from the charity stripe. So big night from Stephon Castle and Wemby as they both knotted up triple-doubles last night. And I mean, you kind of have to if you want to continue to keep playing well. But a key scorer coming off the bench for the Spurs ended up being Luke Cornett, who after 22 minutes of play had 12 points, 1 assist, and was 6 of 6 from the field. So, yeah, even they had a 43-point third quarter. That's insane. But as we kind of look into the rest of the box score here, 125 to 120 ends up being the final score. Warriors ended up outscoring the Spurs. I believe that is 64 to 76. Or excuse me, 76 to 64. I should probably say the higher number before the lower number. My bad. Even though the Golden State Warriors had like a rough start, only scoring 14 points in the first quarter, they end up finding a way to winning by 5 points and moving up to 7-6, as the San Antonio Spurs fall to 8-3. But even with those, or even with that game being a loss for the Spurs are still in great position right now just to start out the season. So I'm not really sweating that much for the Spurs in my personal opinion, just because of the fact that these are both good teams. This was a good matchup. As you kind of see from the final score, it was only separated by 5 points. But again, like I was kind of saying earlier, the only reason why I was wrong in that pick was because I was right in terms of the only way that the Warriors basically won this game was by the contributions of Steph Curry. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's contributions everywhere from the Warriors, but just the way that Steph Curry continues to have a historic night after historic night, like, just, it's incredible to watch from the Warriors especially. So, where I ended up being right from the Oklahoma City Thunder Lakers game in terms of the pick, just the Thunder have been rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Like, oh my goodness. They came into this game 11-1. The Lakers came into this game 8-3, and my personal opinion had a high-powered offense with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, but I mean that pretty much got shut down last night. They got held to 92 points against a red hot Thunder team, and I mean the Thunder were basically just telling the Lakers, "You guys better get LeBron James back, because I don't even know if I don't even know if even having LeBron James in the lineup for the Lakers is gonna help them against the Thunder." Like, my goodness, like the Thunder are just telling everybody, "You better watch out for us this entire season, because we're gonna be we're gonna be coming for about 30-point leads in terms of a final score." Like, my goodness, um, but geez, in terms of a stat line here, you got key contributions from Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Dalton Connect. Luka Doncic, after 33 minutes of play, had 19.7 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, went 7 of 20 from the field, and 1 of 7 from behind the arc, and 4 of 7 from the charity stripe. So not a great night in terms of accuracy from Luka Doncic, but I would still key in on this matchup coming into the later stages of the season. I know it's still early, but this could end up. I mean, the Thunder are, as of right now, I'm just going to say this right now, the Thunder are going to be favorites once again to win the NBA Finals, in my personal opinion. Um, just because, A, they're red hot coming into the season. B, they just seem to not have any sign of slowing down in terms of, potentially having any losing streak. But anyhow, you also got key contributors from the Lakers from last night. You got Dalton Connect, the next highest scoring contributor from the bench ended up being Dalton Connect. I mean, when your entire starting lineup doesn't get into double figures and your second top scorer is from the bench, I mean, I'm not really sure that that's a recipe for success. If you're the Lakers going up against, well, if you're any team going up against the Thunder, really, but geez. But anyhow, after 19 minutes of play, Dalton Connect had 16 points, 2 boards, 1 assist, went 6 of 7 from the field, 4 of 5 from behind the arc. Nothing for the charity stripe, but I mean, still a solid night from Dalton Connect nonetheless. Because his accuracy was on point, whereas the rest of the lineup was they just could not make a bucket to really save their lives, honestly. Even though they ended up with 92 points, it was just one of those non-accurate nights from Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. I mean, I've been kind of raving about Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic early, especially Austin Reeves, because, Austin Reeves, from the way that he was playing before last night, it was like he seems to be with, like, I'm not going to say necessarily like a chip on his shoulder necessarily. It was more of like he's wanting to prove to the entire league that that his name kind of needs to be recognized a little bit more, in my opinion. Just because of the fact that I think there's been, I wouldn't necessarily say disrespect, so to speak, but just and I think he's been playing well in the past seasons. He just hasn't been playing at what I think has been an MVP caliber start to the season for Austin Reeves outside of last night. So there's that. But Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura both ended the night with 13 points. They also both ended up with 5 boards, but I guess we'll get into the rest of the stat line a little bit later from those guys if we end up having the chance. But let's get into the stat line from the big key contributors from the Thunder. Um, Almost all the starters in double figures. Um, let's see. Yeah, Isaiah Joe with 21 points. That's kind of wild. Like, how? Like, anyhow, uh, SGA ended the night after 29 minutes of play with 30 points, 5 boards, 9 assists. So he ended up almost notching up a double double, 2 steals, um, 10 of 18 from the field, 2 of 7 from behind the arc, and 8 of 9 from the charity stripe. So big night from him as well. Um, and then, I mean, also a key scorer, but it ended up coming off the bench, ended up being Isaiah Joe, who after 35 minutes of play ended the night with 21 points, 2 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 5 of 11 from the field, 4 of 10 from 3, and 7 of 7 from the charity stripe. So big night from Joe as well. But I mean, not really anything else is really jumping out at me from the box score. Um, but I mean, you take out, you just take out SGA from the Thunder lineup, and this ends up becoming a game, like, or I mean, pretty close to a game anyway. I mean, it was like separated by, I can't really do the math. I think that's 29. That's 29 points, something like that. Is that math correct? But anyhow, the Thunder end up moving up to 12-1. Lakers fall to 8-4. But I mean, I still think it's still a solid start to the season. And even, I mean, obviously an even better start for the Thunder. But I mean, the Lakers are still in prime position right now. Obviously, it's still early. There's still a lot of games to go. Um, but there's still there's still a lot to be said about, the Lakers being able to um, just start out the season the way that they have. I think that they just had an off night against the Thunder, and when you have an off night against the Thunder, you just absolutely get clapped, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, the Lakers ended up outscoring. I mean, it was 70-38 going into halftime. Like, that's insane. I mean, yes, the Lakers ended up outscoring the Thunder in the second half, but when you're down 70-38 going into halftime, it's like, what can you really do at that point to try to, you know, win a game on the road in Oklahoma City against a very red hot Thunder team right now, and their only loss looks like has been on the road. Like, yeah, they have yet to lose at home, which is insane. But anyhow, we'll get into a little bit more of this in terms of these other games here in a minute. In terms of where I was wrong and where I was right here. So, give me just like 30 seconds though. I gotta heat something up real quick, so I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Your host will be back momentarily. Let's go. Oh, but do. All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Your host is back, and I feel very good today. I hope you guys feel good as well. I probably should have done that a little bit before the show instead of just now. So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I was just warming up some hot water for hot drink to kind of keep, the body nice and fresh. But anyhow, so getting back into where I was right and where I was wrong here. I was also just kind of giving my voice a little bit of a rest as well. So before we get into the second half of the show here, well, actually, I'll kind of do that after we finish up the recap from yesterday's NBA games here. Let's see. So, where I was wrong, I thought the Sacramento Kings were going to have enough to beat the Atlanta Hawks and the Trae Young-less Hawks, especially at home. Maybe I've been kind of vouching a little too hard for the Sacramento Kings a little bit. Because, yeah, they just have not been playing well in the early going here. I mean, they've still found a way to find some wins and whatnot, but they just haven't. They just haven't been able to. Um, I mean, they found a way to win some games, but they just haven't found a way to be consistent, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, as we kind of get into the rest of the scoring break or the rest of the box score in terms of the stat lines here, I mean, you got Jalen Johnson who ended the night with a double double, and also being the top scorer for the Hawks. Um, as after 24 minutes of play, ended the night with 24 points, 10 boards, 8 assists, 1 steal, 9 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. So a big night from Johnson. Um, let's see. Um, Also, a key scorer ended up being, I guess, a Kongwu is his last name. I don't know his first name off the top of my head, so, and I mean, just kind of looking at that name, I can't really, I can't really pronounce it, and I'm not really wanting to try, because I don't want to say it wrong. So, anyhow, just checking some other stuff real quick. But anyhow, Okongwu ended the night after 21 minutes of play, had 21 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 6 of 7 for the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc, and 7 of 8 from the charity stripe. So big night from Okongwu. And you also had a couple other starters in double figures in Porzingis had 13 points. Nikhil Alexander-Walker had 14 points. And then, I don't know how to say this last name. I think it's Rizarcher. Or Rizacher. I think that's his name. But anyhow, Zakari Rizart. I don't... I'm sorry, guys. I don't really know his name. But anyhow, he ended up with 15 points. And then also Kennard ended up with 13 points as well. Um, so, yeah. Big night from the Atlanta Hawks. They just ended up having a 33-point deficit game against the Kings in Sacramento. Like, just wild. And I guess there's kind of a reason why, because, Russell Westbrook only ended the night with 10 points. I mean, the entire starting crew for the Kings didn't even end up at double figures. I mean, there was 3 that had double figures, but Domantas Sabonis didn't play as well. Russell Westbrook didn't play to his usual, I guess star level Russell Westbrook, I guess, if you will. I mean, if there's anything, if Russell Wilson can, or excuse me, not Russell Wilson, if Russell Westbrook can find a way to get back to that prime Westbrook, if you will, in terms of like if he can find a way to like notch up triple doubles on a consistent basis, like he did back when he was in Oklahoma City, like that would be something for the Kings to kind of look forward to. Not to say that it isn't going to happen, but I mean, with the way that he's been playing so far at the beginning of the season, that kind of remains to be seen right now. Not to say that, obviously, not to say that it can't happen, but I'd be hard pressed to see whether or not that actually is going to go into full fruition. Um, let's see. Other, I mean, their top scorer for the Kings ended up being Keon Ellis coming off the bench, who after 31 minutes of play ended up with 20 points, 1 assist, 2 steals, 7 of 14 for the field, 6 of 11 from 3. So, I mean, out of everybody across the board, he was the one with the most accurate, or, yeah. Well, yes, because he was the one that was a lot more accurate than some of the other guys across the board. I mean, outside of Achua, because Achua ended up being 4 of 6 and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So, um, but outside of that, he just ended up basically being shooting at a higher clip, um, which is why he ended up being the top point getter than the rest of the counterparts on that team last night. But yeah, 100 to 133 the final score in Sacramento. 50, 67 to 54 is the point differential in the second half. It was 66 to 46 going into half. So, jeez, it was all Atlanta the entire game. Even though after the first quarter it was only a separation of 3 points, like you outscore your opponent and only hold them to 12 points in the second quarter. Like, I mean, unless they have a 40-point quarter in the second half, there's like no coming back from that, like at all. So, um, anyhow, that's another of where I was wrong because I thought the stars for the Kings were going to show up last night, and it looks like they were kind of dormant and sleeping last night. Kind of how the Clippers, which I mean, unfortunate for the Clippers from yesterday. I don't know if I was even, I don't know if I even covered it yesterday. I think I meant to cover it, but I don't think I did. But anyhow, the Clippers are without Bradley Beal for the rest of the season. It looks like, and boy, does it look like they kind of needed his presence on the court last night because the Nuggets were rolling in L.A. or in Inglewood, basically, is where the Clippers play at. So my bad on the place. But Nikola Jokic, obviously the top point getter, and is still looking to play at a potential MVP level. Um, Ended the night with a double double after 34 minutes of play. Had 55 points, 12 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 18 of 23 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3, and 14 of 16 from the charity stripe. So big night from Nikola Jokic. Um, and then also big night from Aaron Gordon, who after 31 minutes of play had 18 points, 5 boards, 1 steal, 6 of 12 from the field, and 2 of 6 from behind the arc, and 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. So big night from Gordon as well. Jamal Murray didn't score as much, but he still ended the night with, after 33 minutes of play, with 15 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals. Was 5 of 16 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, and 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. So, not Jamal Murray's typical night, I guess, if you will, but even still had a very, very solid performance. And then your top scorer coming off the bench for the Nuggets ended up being Tim Hardaway Jr., who after 12 minutes of play, or excuse me, not 12 minutes of play, after 21 minutes of play, had 12 points, 1 board, 3 assists, 1 steal, 3 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from behind the arc, and 3 of 3 from the charity stripe. So big contribution from Tim Hardaway Jr. as the Nuggets end up notching the win. And then you kind of look at the stat line from the Clippers. Top scorer from the Clippers, here we go, James Harden. You got, after 30 minutes of play, ended up with 23 points, 8 boards, 5 assists. Nothing for the defensive stat line, but was 6 of 15 from the field and 1 of 6 from 3 and 10 of 10 from the charity stripe. So big contributions from Harden ended up being 10 out of his 23 points ended up being finding a way to draw fouls and get to the free throw line to make those easy shots that basically for an NBA level need to be automatic, but some players are a lot more automatic at the charity stripe than others. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My sleep schedule is a little bit hindered, but it's okay. But also a top point getter from the Clippers last night, even though they fell a little bit short. Ended up being Jordan Miller, who after 26 minutes of play ended the night with 22 points, 4 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 6 of 10 from the field, 5 of 7 from behind the arc, and 5 of 6 from the charity stripe. So, still a solid night from Jordan Miller as well. Ivica Zubac ended the night with 18 points, 9 boards, 1 assist, 2 blocks, and was 9 of 14 from the field, so a solid night from Zubats. And I wonder why they haven't been playing Chris Paul. I mean, he's old, sure, but aren't they gonna like give him like a couple more? Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's 40 years old. Did he enter the league roughly right around the same time as LeBron James did? Anyhow, we'll get into that a little bit later, I guess. Um, but yeah, the Clippers ended up falling to 3-8. Denver Nuggets move up to 9-2, as 130 to 116 is the final score in Inglewood, California. Yeah. And that was a where I was right in terms of predicting that score correctly. Um, yeah, that's pretty much that. That kind of concludes the where I was right, where I was wrong from last night. Um, oh boy, oh boy, we might have flubbed a little. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't flub. Okay, maybe I didn't flub. Well, I think I might be in for a potential. Nope, maybe not. I'm going for the underdog apparently in the final game that's tipping off. Well, final game according to the lineup anyway. But I don't know. Maybe I'm under. Maybe I'm underrating how well the Atlanta Hawks are still playing without Trae Young. Excuse me. But anyhow, let's let me just kind of skip ahead on some of these real quick. But I guess before we get into any of the I guess before we get into any previews from tonight's games from not only the NBA but also the NFL and Thursday Night Football, because it looks like the Patriots have they're revealing their rivalry uniforms, or they're debuting their rivalry uniforms coming into tonight against the Jets. So that's going to be an interesting look, and we'll kind of see what happens from there. But before we get into anything else, I do want to once again thank every single one of you guys for watching the show and kind of tuning in. You guys are what is going to keep this show up and running. So I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. So if you like the content that I'm giving you guys on a day-to-day basis, go down and hit that follow button on any of their streaming platforms that you're watching on. If you're on YouTube, go down and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button on the video that you're watching right now. It really does help support the stream, or the show, if you will. And if you're on anywhere other than Rumble at the moment, once the show is over, head on over to Rumble. That's the main place that I'm going to be kind of, watching chat for the most part. Even though I got, all the other tabs of the other streamlines open for right now. Rumble is mainly where I'm going to be taking, chat and stuff like that. So if you guys want to head on over to Rumble and follow me there, that's basically the best place where if you have any like things you want me to kind of cover, or things that you want me to kind of discuss on the show, go ahead and head on over to Rumble and just kind of let me know in the chat there. I'll also respond to like YouTube and all the other ones as well. Just it might take me an extra second or two to kind of see where all that is going to be coming from and whatnot. So anyhow, once again, also I'm trying to add Instagram and TikTok to the multicast. right now we're kind of in, I guess, kind of in limbo mode for TikTok right now because I'm just trying to potentially follow their, um, I guess, rules, if you will, in terms of getting to a certain point, which where I can end up getting that going. Um, but anyhow, um, yeah, once again, if you're on anything other than Rumble, head on over to Rumble because you can also download the Rumble app on any of your smart devices, either your phone, your tablet, or your smart TV, or just anything that you can normally just have apps on. But you also got on Rumble, you also got myself, you got Vince, you got uh, Russell Brand, you got Steven Crowder, you got Tim Pool, you got a whole plethora of streamers and commentators from across the board over on Rumble. And it's, kind of your one-stop shop for pretty much anybody and everybody. So, um, well, almost everybody, I should say. I shouldn't really say everybody because not everybody has really moved over to Rumble because YouTube is still quote unquote a big honky, if you will, but or the big shot, if you will. But anyhow, with that being said, I hope you guys do appreciate what I'm, giving you guys. If not, I hope to do a little bit better in the future. Um, so, just kind of keep that in mind. This show is still a little bit new, so if I am not doing as well as you guys have had hoped, I apologize. I will try to do better. And with that, we'll kind of move into some of the games that are coming into tonight, shall we? As we get this going here, um, we'll kind of look into some of the predictions that I have coming into tonight. You got Toronto going into Cleveland. You got the Pacers going into the Phoenix Suns, and you got the Atlanta Hawks going into Utah. My personal opinion going off the bat from the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, you got a very solid. I think this is probably going to be the matchup of the night in my personal opinion, just because um, you got two teams that, in my personal opinion, you got the Cavaliers who have been kind of they've been kind of stagnant to start out the season, in my personal opinion. I mean, you still got the main stars from the Cavs being healthy and in the starting lineup for the Cavs coming into tonight, especially Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Um, I mean, it looks like there's potential with Lonzo Ball out and Darius Garland out that I think Craig Porter Jr. or Sam Merrill is going to get the start at the point. And then the rest of the starting lineup going down the list here ends up being Donovan Mitchell at the 2, DeAndre Hunter at the 3, Evan Mobley at the 4, and Jared Allen at the 5. So look to still have, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen as like key contributors coming into tonight's game. But when it comes to the Raptors, man, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to really say what ends up is going to be happening. But, I mean, I would say it's going to lean a little bit more towards the game's going to be close just because of the fact that you got you got your starters for the Raptors coming into this game healthy, whereas not all the starters for the Cleveland Cavaliers are healthy coming into this game. Especially since you got Darius Garland and Lonzo Ball out. Um, I would say you're probably gonna see um, a big night from Brandon Ingram, um, probably a big night from Scotty Barnes and Jakob Pertl as well. Um, as we kind of get into the rest of the starting lineup or at least a potential starting lineup coming into tonight. You got Emmanuel Quickly at the point. You got Brandon Ingram, as we kind of discussed earlier, at the 2. R.J. Barrett at the 3. Scotty Barnes at the 4. And Jakob Pertl at the 5. Also look to Grady Dick to try to help keep this game close as the Raptors are going into Cleveland. And I mean, it's going to be an interesting game, in my personal opinion, to see what happens. I really don't know if this, in terms of the percentage, is actually going to be accurate. But if any of these games are going to be close tonight, it's more likely than not going to be this game between the Cavs and the Raptors, just because I believe, if I'm reading this correctly, yes, it's an interconference matchup between the two teams. Um, Cleveland is looking to stay in that second spot right now, even though it's early in the season. They're looking to hold steady at that number 2 spot, whereas the Toronto Raptors are looking to try to move up a little bit in the standings, I think. Um, but who knows? That kind of remains to be seen. But I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to find a way to win even without Darius Garland in the lineup for them. Um, but also, we're kind of looking into tonight. In tonight's game, into the rest of the games for tonight, you got also the Phoenix Suns hosting the Indiana Pacers, who, I'm sorry, Pacers fans, and I hate to say this, but I think your losing streak is going to continue tonight in terms of losing on the road. Just the way that the Pacers have been playing from the jump in terms of the start of this season just has not been great, and the Suns are just playing just a little bit better. Especially since you got Devin Booker, Grayson Allen kind of leading the team. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Dang. Um, but anyhow, potential starters coming into tonight as the Suns host the Pacers. You got Devin Booker at the point, Grayson Allen at the 2, Dylan Brooks at the 3, Royce O'Neal at the 4, and then probably Nick Richards at the 5, because it looks like Mark Williams is out. I'm not entirely sure what type of injury it is, but give me 1 second to open up the injuries real quick. Can I just look at a full... Oh, you know what? Hang on. The full report is right here. Let me just look at the new tab on this real quick. Because the Pacers and the Suns... Oh my goodness. I think I'm hungry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, though. Yeah, because it looks like Mark Williams... Wow, I guess they're resting him tonight. Can anyone explain to me why resting... I mean, I get it if the guy is... Dude, this guy's... Oh my gosh. This crap drives me up a wall. Like, I'm sorry, but like... I mean, I get it. You want to make it so that your star players don't get injured. I can kind of see that. But if your reasoning is because you just want to rest star players, even though they're not injured, like, why are they sitting on the bench? I get it if they're a little bit older. Don't get it twisted. If the guy has been a star player like LeBron James or Luka Doncic, I mean, granted, earlier there were a couple of games earlier where I was a little bit upset, but even still, with star players resting, it just... it's one of my irks, in my opinion, that you have guys that are as young as Mark Williams who are playing in the NBA who have these type of games where they are just resting and not playing. You're a star player for your team. I mean, he may not even be a star necessarily, but regardless, in terms of where you are at in the depth chart, like you're in the starting lineup. So in terms of that, the team sees you as a potential star for the team, if not a star for the team. Like what? And maybe this is a coach's decision as well. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of this, but with the way that they're describing it in terms of like the injury reports and stuff like that, just saying rest is like, what are we doing here? Like, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just throwing hay at something that I don't even need to throw hay at, but it just, it just, it for lack of better words, pisses me off. Because it's like, I mean, if I were to, I mean, not that I have shown up to a lot of NBA games in general. Like, if anything, I really want to. If there's NBA games that I want to see, there's like, I mean, in person especially, there's obviously wanting to see Stephen Curry play in person at one point, hopefully before his career is over. Same with LeBron James, though time is running out, so I don't think I'm going to be able to end up watching LeBron James play in person. Even though I have a little bit of criticism for LeBron James, in my personal opinion, there's a little bit of criticism for my end. But anyhow, um, there's just and like I've been saying, it's just one of those things where it's like you potentially will have like certain fans like this is their only game that they will probably ever go see you in their entire lifetime, and yet you're gonna be resting. I mean, granted, if that's a coach's decision, that's one thing, but if you're deciding to rest just because you're deciding to rest, like, what are we doing here? But anyhow, it kind of getting back into this game as the Suns are hosting the Pacers. I think the Suns are going to win this game, just because the turnaround for the Pacers from last season into this season just has not been showing up very well for the Pacers. As I kind of discussed, I think yesterday, I still have them in my bottom five, or yeah, in terms of top five worst teams in the league right now. I think they're sitting at number three, if I remember correctly from yesterday's show. Um, it's just, I mean, part of it is the fact that they will be without Tyrese Halliburton for the entire season. Part of it is just the fact that they've just been riddled with injuries across the board. And then I guess the other part of it is I don't think um, I don't think that they've been playing at the NBA final caliber level that they played at from a season ago, and it's just been a rough start for the Pacers. And I mean, as much as I want the Pacers to try to find that balance again, and want to have, like, in a sense, that comeback story, if you will, like, I don't know if that is going to be what starts tonight for the Pacers, because I mean, yes, you have Aaron Nesmith, who plays very well. You got Pascal Siakam, who has been an absolute juggernaut for the Pacers as a whole. I mean, Andrew Nemhard and Tony Bradley as well. I mean, TJ McConnell coming off the bench as well. Like, I mean, in my personal opinion, I think TJ McConnell's been a very good sixth man for the Pacers, and I'm glad that they kept him around from a season ago. And I mean, it's just, but I mean, just kind of looking at how the Pacers have been playing so far, I don't really see that really changing anytime soon unless it really does start tonight. Then that just kind of remains to be seen. But I don't really think the Pacers are really going to be, you know, finding a way to, um, win a game against a very interesting Suns team that, in my personal opinion, I think might have found a little bit of a spark in Grayson Allen and Devin Booker. But I kind of digress a little bit because it remains to be seen. So we'll see what happens from here. But um, that's my prediction kind of going into tonight. I think the Suns are going to win tonight's game. I don't think it's going to be by a landslide, to be honest, but I think they're still going to win that game nonetheless. But it's not going to be as close as the Toronto-Cleveland game, in my personal opinion. It's not going to be a runaway, I don't think, but looking into the final game here, kind of as I was discussing before, I'm taking the underdog in the Utah Jazz. I think Lauri Markkanen is going to find a way to boost his team coming into tonight and keeping the Jazz on a good, I don't know, maybe trying to inch a little bit closer to being above 500 in terms of how many games that they've been playing. You also got Yusuf Nurkic and Keontae George that are potentially going to be key contributors coming into tonight. Wendell Carter Jr. and Kyle Filipowski coming off the bench. So, come on, Jazz. I'm kind of rooting for you tonight because I want to see you guys have some success because, man, did I think you guys kind of got a little bit screwed from a season ago, but we'll see what happens here. But I still think also your key contributors coming out of the Atlanta Hawks, I think Jalen Johnson is still going to find a way to have some fun tonight. With Kristaps Porzingis out, I think Okongwu is going to be the guy that's going to be the next man up, if you will, which means that it's probably going to be Luke Kennard and Keaton Wallace who are probably going to be key contributors coming off the bench for the Hawks. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events to see what happens tonight. Do I think the matchup predictor is correct? Maybe a little bit, but I mean, I think maybe even coming into this game, I think they have the right idea. But if anything, if Lauri Markkanen has been playing the way that he has been playing throughout the beginning of this season, I think the Jazz are going to be in for a very wonderful treat at home in Utah versus the Hawks. Which actually, speaking of, have I even looked at the stat line for the NBA this week in terms of a very early MVP race for the... I have not. I mean, Markkanen is still top 7. Austin Reeves is top 6. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. That's amazing. So I guess we'll get a little bit more into that here in a little bit. But before we get into potential MVP conversation, even though it's way, way, way too early to really discuss MVP, I want to kind of get into tonight's game from the NFL for Thursday Night Football real quick. It's going to kind of be a quick breakdown just because it's the New York Jets against the New England Patriots. As I kind of posted with my scores coming into this weekend, Um, I think it's I think this weekend is going to be a very, very interesting weekend across the NFL. We'll get a little bit more into the breakdown of why I have the scores at where they are across the league coming into this weekend. We got the Colts and the Saints on bye week this weekend, so um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Um, but I do want to say that I think the Patriots are going to be coming into this game with Drake May as being a potential MVP candidate. In my personal opinion, I think he's going to show up and show out like they've been playing all season. And I mean, tonight's not going to be much different, especially with since they're breaking out the rivalry jerseys and they're at home on Thursday Night Football. What any better ask can you ask of a potential MVP candidate in Drake May? What is going to show up and show out? Um, I think it's going to be very sound. I think it's going to be a very sound victory for the Patriots. The Jets just have not been finding any ways to, I guess, really click on all cylinders, if you will. They also traded away their top players on the defense side of the ball, so it's not looking great for the Jets. I think they've basically said this season has kind of been much of a wraps for them, and they're just kind of going in rebuild mode, if you will. Um, Not to say that Justin Fields can't win this game, and there's not a way for Justin Fields to win this game, but um, with the way that Drake May has been playing compared to the way that Justin Fields has been playing, I think the offense of the Patriots is going to perform a lot better. And I don't even know off the top of my head how much better in terms of comparison, in terms of how much better the defenses are going to be for both of these teams. But I mean, you would think that this game is going to be a little bit closer just because of, it being a division rival matchup, um, which we have plenty of those division rival matchups coming into this weekend, actually. Um, but this one being a key um, matchup to at least start out the weekend, I think is going to be indicative of what we're going to be seeing throughout the weekend um, across the league in the NFL. Um, so again, I think it's going to be not a close game between the Patriots and the Jets. If it is going to be close, it's um, I think it's going to be the Patriots that end up on top. But I'd be very in my personal opinion, I'd be very surprised if the Jets end up scoring more than 10 points tonight. Like not to bash on their team too much, but the New England Patriots offense has just been so dominant this entire season outside of a couple of games here and there where they just have been absolutely taking out most of the opponents that they have been playing against, and it's just and I think it's going to continue into tonight just because they just have not been playing well um, throughout this season. So um, one thing that I will probably mention a little bit more tomorrow, but I think that this game coming into this weekend and why I'm um, kind of, I mean, kind of going a little bit away from Thursday night football a little bit, but sticking with the theme of the National Football League, I'm I'd be I'd be hard pressed that if the Dolphins don't win this game this weekend, like there's a big I don't know if it's a hot take, if you will, but I think this is a must win for the Dolphins this weekend, and I'll kind of get a little bit more into depth on that game tomorrow. Um, just because I want to make sure that I have the words that I want to say correctly on this, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But even though it's in Madrid and it's not actually at home in Miami, I still think that this weekend, at least for this game in particular between the Commanders, is a must win for the Dolphins. Um, and I'll say more as to why tomorrow. But anyhow, all that aside, once again, I think the Patriots are going to win this game tonight. And I mean, I'm not going to say don't watch it all the way through because, I mean, this might end up actually kind of being a snooze fest at some point. But in my personal opinion, I think you got a very good New England Patriots team going up a very bad New York Jets team. So it's like you're really kind of you're really kind of flubbing the bag if you're not really, you know, paying close enough attention because of the way that the trades have been made for the Jets before the trade deadline. It's like, okay, really, what do they have coming into this game that's going to help them win this game? I mean, unless Justin Fields somehow plays like lights out, I don't really see any way how the Jets score any more than 10 points tonight. I really don't. And I mean, I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if they end up getting blanked tonight. Like, just the New England Patriots are just that good this season and coming into this game that it's like you can't sleep on the Patriots, otherwise the Patriots are just gonna clap them. You know what I mean? Anyhow, kind of moving back to the NBA a little bit, we're just gonna kind of get into some um, very early MVP race slash who I think are very key contributors in terms of potential um, all star caliber lineups for here. Let me actually just open up another tab of the same. Can I open up another tab of the same thing? I can. Okay, so let's go Eastern Conference, and then let's go points, and then we'll go Western Conference here. So let's see. Let's flip that because we don't want to go that way. We want to go this way. So here's where I'm gonna kind of start by saying I think in terms of MVP race, if we're just looking at stats across the board, I mean obviously you're gonna have conversations of Nikola Jokic, obviously because he looks like he's top five in literally every single category right now that you're kind of looking at in terms of stat line. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if you found guys like I mean obviously SGA who's coming off of an MVP caliber season last season as well. I mean you got let's see. I mean, you got Josh. I mean, you got Josh Giddey. You got Kate Cunningham, James Harden. Maybe a little bit. I mean, he's not really. I mean, he hasn't really been showing up as much in terms of the other stat lines, but he has. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's playing at an all-star level. I'll give him an all-star level, but I wouldn't give him. Um, I wouldn't give him MVP candidate vibes yet, in my personal opinion. Um, let me just kind of continue to kind of look into this. I would say definitely probably Giannis just because he's up there in the at least the rebounds and the points for sure. Um, I would kind of say Austin Reeves, Donovan Mitchell, and Tyrese Maxey. Um, in terms of the MVP level. Maybe not as big as Nikola Jokic, obviously, but yeah, I would definitely say at least the top five in terms of points are definitely in contention for sure. But obviously, kind of Jokic just kind of pulls himself away from the rest of the group as of right now, just because of where he's at in the stat line for boards and assists. Like, it's insane to see what happens when you look at the rest of the stat lines across the board. But I mean, you could obviously make a case for Austin Reeves and Tyrese Maxey for sure, just because of the where they're at in the other parts of the stat lines as well. They may not be as high on boards, but they're definitely up there in terms of assists for sure. Um, and again, you can make a case for Giannis Antetokounmpo. You can make a case for Victor Wembanyama. You can make a case for um, Carl Anthony Towns, maybe. But again, a little early for that. But let's kind of take a look at um, who I think could potentially uh, be all stars, if you will, coming into the All Star break. I mean, no, I know it's a little bit early in terms of the voting, but I would definitely put in a vote if the votes were opened up today. Which actually, I'll have to take a look when those votes start to open up. Which actually, um, all star voting NBA start. Oh, that's in. Oh, but that was from 2024. So it's probably. Okay, so it's probably coming up then. 25 to 26 season. Okay. Okay. So at some point in December, we're going to make our All Star votes here. Um, and from my personal opinion, as of right now, if it were to open up today, obviously from the Western Conference, I mean, hands down, I'd be putting in Austin Reeves. I'd be putting in, obviously, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. I would also be putting in Lauri Markkanen and Devin Booker and Luka Doncic. Like, I mean, in terms of a starting five, um, let's see. In terms of a starting five, I would probably go. Oh, geez. I would probably go Shea at the point just because Doncic hasn't. Well, both Doncic and Reeves haven't played as many games. And yet Doncic has a better point differential in terms of points per game. So, if anything, I would put Shea at the point. If to me, it'd be a toss up between Doncic and Reeves at the two. I would put probably either. No, I would put Markkanen at the three. Yeah, I would put Laurie Markkanen at the three, and then Wemby at the four, and then Jokic at the five. I think that's a pretty stacked all star lineup for the Western Conference, in my personal opinion. And then your first guys coming off the bench would obviously, for me, be Austin Reeves and Devin Booker. Um, and then also Denny Avdija and Julius Randle. Obviously, we're just kind of looking based off of points for right now. But I mean, I would be willing to bet you. I mean, we've been talking about in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, from Avdija on up, we've been talking about a lot of these guys throughout the beginning of the season and the way that they have been playing so far. Excuse me. So, yeah, without a doubt, that would be kind of where my starting lineup for an All Star weekend as of right now would look like. Um, just been talking about all these guys in the top 10 a lot. Um, I mean, basically some honorable mentions coming into the All Star as well. Could also be Julius Randle and Kevin Durant as well. Um, Not to say that they haven't been playing at an all-star level, just the guys above them have just been playing just a little bit better in my personal opinion, and I think it would kind of be a snub, especially if Austin Reeves doesn't make it. I feel like he's probably going to make his first all-star appearance come February, but I mean, who knows what's going to happen within the next coming months. That might change a little bit, but it might not be by very much. Um, just because I think Austin Reeves has been, just a different animal coming into this season. Just, yeah, I mean, especially since they play against the Pelicans for NBA group play tomorrow. Like, oh my goodness. Like, look to Austin Reeves tomorrow to just have a freaking field day, excuse me. But, anyhow, and then also from the Eastern Conference, you got a lot of guards up in the top here. In terms of a starting lineup, I would probably go Tyrese Maxey at the 1, Donovan Mitchell at the 2. Wow. I would. This might be an interesting. This might be an interesting Eastern Conference lineup to go into All Star Weekend, I think. But I would probably go Michael Porter Jr. at the 3, either him or Franz Wagner at the 3, and then go Giannis at the 4, and then I would probably go Karl Anthony Towns or Evan Mobley at the 5. Because we kind of, I mean, I'm kind of looking at this as in terms of, I mean, obviously, we're just kind of looking at these standings in terms of points, but we've also been talking a lot. I mean, I haven't really been talking about the Brooklyn Nets all that much just because they haven't been playing well to start out the season. But, I mean, you look at a lot of the guys from Karl Anthony Towns on up, and a lot of these guys, we've been talking a lot about their stat lines all the way through in terms of so far through about 11 or 12 games um, this season for these for these players for these teams, and it's um, I could also be making a bad take for sure, but I think in terms of your first guys coming off the bench for All Star Weekend, if it were to be today, I think it would be Jalen Brunson and Pascal Siakam as at least the first two that would come off the bench for the Eastern Conference. Um, but anyhow, um, yeah, again, if I were to make my votes today, that's kind of how I would do the starting lineup for that. Um, and I think on both the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, both of them are going to get stacked. Like absolute monsters of a starting lineup from both Western and Eastern Conference in my personal opinion. But I mean, who knows? Um, and who knows how well that all is going to play out. So, um, with that, I think that is going to do it. Let me just see if I can. Let me see if there's any chats in here, or if there's anything else that you guys want me to discuss real quick. Don't hesitate to let me know, because we're kind of heading towards the end of another show here. So, I mean, I don't know how. Um, I don't know what else to really discuss here, because I think I've covered everything and a little bit extra too. So, because I wasn't really, I mean, I was still thinking about doing MVP race, but I wasn't really thinking about All Star yet, just because the All Star stuff hasn't really opened up yet. But I mean, I will say when it does open up and guys in chat, ladies and gentlemen in chat, if you guys want to let me know when it does open up, I'll probably keep an eye on it as well. And the very first opening when it opens up is probably when um, um, gonna do it in terms of voting. Um, I wonder if once you make a vote, you can kind of change 3 for 1 voting days. There will be a few days where fans votes are worth triple. They are typically in late December and early January. So maybe we'll wait. Maybe we'll wait on the voting until our votes basically are triple value. Maybe we do. Maybe we do that. I don't know if we do it right when it opens up, cause it might be a little early. But anyhow, um, yeah, maybe we'll try to figure out how we're gonna do that. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens between now and when the All-Star votes start opening up, because I think a lot of this is gonna kind of stay roughly the same if the beginning of the season has really kind of told us anything. I think obviously the Lakers are still gonna be, super hot coming into All-Star break. Um, and I think the Thunder are just going to be a team that's going to be hard to stop. Also, it looks like the Spurs and the Golden State Warriors play again tomorrow. Dang. And it's also in San Antonio. Dang. Golly. NBA Cup matchup and then some. But anyhow, there's not really any other chats here. I guess I will say one more time before I take off for the day. I really do appreciate every single one of you guys that have been watching and have been giving me feedback and supporting the stream. You guys that are, hitting that follow button and sharing it with everybody that you are the people that are what's going to keep this show going. So I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you do like the content that I'm bringing you guys on a day-to-day basis, don't hesitate to hit that like button and head down and hit that follow or subscribe if you're on YouTube. But again, this thing is being multicasted to a bunch of different platforms. If you aren't on Rumble, head on over to Rumble. You can download the Rumble app on your phone, your tablet, or any of your smart devices. You'll get a plethora of streamers and commentators, including myself. But also, Rumble is basically the main place where I'm kind of looking at in terms of where the chats are coming from and whatnot. Again, I still have all the other stuff open, but all the other streaming platforms are kind of like, not really like second place, if you will, but it's going to be a little bit longer to respond on those platforms than Rumble, just because I got the Rumble studio kind of set up. So, anyhow. But once again, really appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. You guys are awesome. And with that, I think I'll end in a prayer and I'll send you guys on your way to finish out the rest of the day. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll see you all tomorrow. But with that, let me just kind of do this real quick. We'll just go right here and we'll just kind of do this real quick. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, I want to thank you once again for another beautiful Thursday. I want to really I want to thank you for allowing this opportunity to not only for myself but for the viewers to be a blessing to many and a hero to some. Bless and guide our interactions and our thoughts and actions as we go throughout the rest of the day and as we go throughout the weekend, and Continue to bless and guide each and every single one of us as we go throughout our day. And I ask for the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary to intercede and also guide us, as well as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Once again, thank you so much, every single one of you guys, for watching. You guys have a great Thursday. I will see you all on Friday for another stacked show. Yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.